Hey, Sharam Namdarian here today. Today we're going to be talking about the process of healing in a real-world, tangible way and the steps. If you're a fan of my content, or if you're a fan of just the process of healing, or even if you've watched my stuff before, it's no surprise that I'm a big fan of the process. I've almost dedicated a big chunk of my life to understanding this process and even teaching this process as a method of making life easier, as a method of self-actualization. That society will tell you to go to it. The process of healing is removing the blocks so not only you can go to it, but it can come to you. And this obviously is a process that I have developed and understood through my relationship coaching business, where all I realized in the end, all I was doing was basically teaching people how to heal their relationship in this very way. But this process applies to pretty much every facet of life. That when we actually allow ourselves to start healing, we are letting ourselves evolve almost to the next level, evolve ourselves to the next stage of who we are. And so there's a rule with healing that we always say: bad becomes good, good becomes great, great becomes amazing. It's just basically a step ladder of emotion. Now, people will often come to me because they will either be having a situation where they want to heal, say, for example, depression, or they want to heal anxiety, or they want to heal their relationship. And sometimes people come to me for relationships in the past, and really, it's actually not about the relationship, it's about depression. So by healing the depression, we actually allow their relationship to flourish. But in this video, I want to talk about real-world, tangible steps, like a pathway to sort of expect. And the pathway is free, it is real, you can do it now. People, funny, because I often hear people saying to me things like, if you give this shit away for free, people don't value it. But I had to figure this out when I had no fucking money. I fucking valued it. So, to me, it would be completely incongruent and inauthentic to say that you must pay to learn how to heal. You can pay me, that's fine, but to learn how to heal, to put a monetary value on it, is a complete fucking lie. Because it is just a process of feeling, and no one can take that away from you. I can't, someone else can't, by putting it behind a financial wall. Sure, you want to learn from me? That's a whole different thing. But watch any Hollywood movie. Watch yourself. Before any huge breakthrough, before any huge profound moment in real life, there is always a moment of surrender. Always a healed moment where one person digs deep, where they are forced to feel the very things that they didn't want to feel, and in that moment they learned that it was just okay. It was okay to be that way. And that's why I often look at it, there's a cycle. Emotions have a cycle. There is a start and a finish. Say, for example, anxiety. Anxiety being one of the most simplest things to fucking deal with is a process of start and finish, of surrender. That maybe through life situations we've been forced to fucking deal, forced to fucking feel, and as a result, the start, it has completed, and when it's completed, we learn something from it, or we are free from it. That the process of healing that anxiety is a process of healing all anxiety. So that's why I like to say that basically when you've healed this aspect of your life, you're essentially done. You're essentially done with that aspect of anxiety. Now anxiety can be a big old pie, and it has a lot of different slices. So by healing one aspect of anxiety, when you're done with that slice of the pie. If it comes up again, your body knows how to deal with it because your pipe, the pipe of your nervous system, the pipe of your mind, your soul, your body, whatever it is essentially clear. You know how to handle it, which also means you learn something from that, which teaches you a lot about all anxiety. Now, when we are trying to specifically manifest something, specifically create something, move towards something, how can healing help that? How do we basically heal our way to creating something? Well, very simple. Surrender the blocks to the very thing you want to create. You're trying to move forward, and there are feelings holding you back. Now, this is applicable to fucking every part of society, every part of life. I specifically had a private obsession with healing relationships and sexuality and dating and all of this stuff. Hence why accidentally, like intentionally but accidentally, became world famous, international renowned Sharam Namdarian. Here, regular guest on fucking Triple J, talking about dating and relationships. But that's only because deep down, through forced surrender, through life-forced surrender, I was forced to feel and deal with my anxiety around relationships, that then I created accidentally a path of super clarity when it came to relationships. I have a intense sixth sense towards this. This is what we often refer to as a vibration. A vibration being ability, acumen, sixth sense. It's just my word of describing fucking all of the above. Your ability to create, be created, be a part of, and be sort of in a flow state. So you'll often say that doctors have a medical vibration. They've studied for a while, they've been fucking in depth, they know what they're fucking doing, but also they don't necessarily have any blocks towards learning more, hypothetically, depending on the doctor. Or at least, one of my good friends, he's got such an intense, not only medical vibration, but he's got such an intense learning vibration. Like, he's amazing at studying. Through life-forced surrender, forced him to deal with that. Now, when I teach people surrender, one of the first responses that I get is, I've already done this, right? Life has forced them to feel. This is what you and I, what we're talking about now, is active surrender. The active involvement in your own healing journey, where you are smart and wise enough to see that that is the starting point. If a journey always starts with a single step, the first step is always a point of feeling. Up until then, it's usually a point of getting back, right? It's a point of getting back to healing. That's why I often joke to people that things are therapy before, like dating. Like, if you're not getting the results, it's therapy. And that people fucking hate hearing that. But it's like, oh, this person doesn't like me, I don't like them. What do? We surrender. We feel it. We let ourselves run that cycle. It's okay if they don't like us. It's okay if I don't like them. It's okay if the dating environment is absolute shithouse. The healed relationship with the dating environment being absolute shithouse is the recognition that it doesn't fucking matter. What I like about the healing process is very usually when the cycle is done, everyone's response to that is unique. It's that your learned educational output from the healing process will be different to mine. And that is fantastic. That's how it should be. And it doesn't have to be any other way. That the blockages that you have towards, for example, finances, relationships, sexuality, health, should be and might be different to my blockages. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't cross-contaminate. That doesn't mean that they won't be sort of like the things you learn might help me, or the things that I might learn might help you. That does not mean that that won't be the case. But they don't have to be the same thing. Like, your journey does not have to be the same as mine. The only similarity is that we are all human and that we all fucking deal with emotions very similarly. When I say sadness, maybe have you ever felt sadness before? Have you ever felt anger before? Some people haven't, and that's okay. But how our bodies, we pump blood. At least I fucking hope so. It's not a wild assumption for me to say that we all have a heart. Boom, 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 boom. So what's the process? The process is always the same. Surrender the blocks towards the thing you want to create. Even me creating these videos, what are feelings I have? People won't like it. People won't like it. People won't like it. I surrender. It doesn't matter if they like it. Maybe I'm only trying to reach a select few. And then I use the word witch sight, but it's basically what we call an expanded awareness, where you see the path. And you can create that Surrendering to being able to see the path, or like, oh, I don't know what's going on, gives you that sense. Because if you're no longer stuck in a cycle of not being able to see what is left, being able to see. So the journey is surrender the blocks to the thing you want to create. And in my case, all the time, non-stop, without exception. I have created, and in the past I've talked about this, a healing gaze. That is, that you always have almost like an internal spotlight, like you do anyway, that decides there is a part of surrender that is just going to look at all the pieces as you are moving through life. Oh, anxious here, nervous there, excited there, loving here. And as a result, you unlock more and more parts of who you are. And often what you will learn then also is sometimes we lock things behind it. I don't let myself go there because I haven't dealt with this yet. But you process this, you let yourself go there, you also process this, you might let this be here while you do go there. So a good example is, I like to use the example of dating. That's always the thing I like to go to because I have a huge history in that. Hello, my name is Sharam Namdarian, Mr. Dating Coach. Hello, here to coach you. Basically, what are some blocks that people might have in dating? Hey, I don't know what to say. You surrender. I don't know what to say. Rather than trying to force yourself to what to say, which comes from lack. I must force myself to say something. Look, sometimes there are time limits as well, right? Like, I'll talk about time limits in a second. But like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You can live your life. Try and force yourself. Try and figure it out. All this sort of stuff. Doesn't fucking matter. That shit's on you. All I'm asking is that during that time, you just surrender. It runs out. You might realize what to say, but also simultaneously you'll become comfortable with not saying something. Sexuality. They won't like me. I'll be rejected. Surrender to the feeling. I'll be rejected. Even surrender to the feeling of rejection. Fucking runs out. Fucking runs out. Fucking runs out. Fucking runs out. Eventually you surrender. Eventually you realize it's okay if I get sexually rejected. Then something I realized in my own life. It's okay. I'm actually not going to go too deep into that. What else? It's really interesting to see that as this journey goes on, because you've dealt with that blockage, you can deal with that blockage time and time again. I actually had some blockages doing this video. I can't remember why. It's like, I feel just stuck. I feel like I'm going to start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. But the moment I let myself fully just fucking feel that was the moment I let myself start without stopping. Now I've said this somewhere, I'm breaking into comedy. I'm just doing it as an experiment, sort of, but that's what at least I'm telling myself. And I too am surrendering this. So I am letting myself feel things. I'm like, hey, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't really have necessarily stage fright because I've already processed a lot of that. Like, I've been on stages, I've been on radio, I've done all this shit. What I have is, maybe if I had a huge audience, it might be different. But what I have is just this feeling, I wouldn't know what to do when I got up there. Now, through life force, I've been thrown in some really fucking situations that have forced me to grow up in that area a lot quicker, that have forced out some other stuff for me to then surrender. And I'm not going to be sharing those stories just yet. They're very close to home. But right now, my plan is just go to open mic nights. Just go to these things where you could potentially be called up on stage, which has happened, and just surrender, just feel. That's all you have to do. It's what I'm telling myself. It's what I'm telling you. Of course I'm going to tell you the thing I tell myself. If it works for me, why wouldn't I give it to you? Now, that's the general process. It's just that statement. Surrender the things you want to create. You can do everything within your power to create it as well. I'm not telling you to stop. I'm not telling you to be passive. I'm not telling you to surrender to life. People often misunderstand that. And that's a good thing to point out because they'll be like, you're in an abusive relationship. I guess I'll just surrender to the abusive relationship. No, fucking surrender to how it feels. It hurts. If you've ever been in an abusive relationship, it fucking hurts. what might happen because of the surrender process will be up to you. But you might recognize that you got to get out of there. You might recognize you got to change it. Then you might realize it might take small changes. It might take big fucking changes. I know I've had certain abusive relationships in my life, really intense emotional abusive relationships I've had for my whole life that I had to fucking wake up. Through the process, I woke up, recognized I don't like this anymore. Found a way to change it for the better. Recognized that I had blocks in my way justifying people's behaviors. And found a way to live with them in my life and to find a way to deal with them in a way that has a place for them. Because it's easy to push people away. And it's hard to love people. Loving someone is vulnerable. Loving someone is scary. Loving someone is hard, especially if you don't want to. Now, my personal healed response was there's a place for everyone in my life, sometimes really fucking far away. Really, really, really far. So far, I don't even see them. Your response will be different. The act of healing is the act of recognizing that there is a place for everything and everyone in our life. Anger has purpose. I remember I'll be doing coaching calls with someone, and the core root, once we surrender, we discover a core root of a problem is they just rejected anger. Someone told them a long time ago that it was bad to be angry. And so what? They just stopped. They stopped being angry. Every time they were getting angry, they're like, no, don't be angry. Anger is bad. I won't be angry. No. None of this angry for me. But upon surrender, upon deep realization, they accept anger into our life. And what is anger but power? We get angry when someone crosses our boundaries. You might get angry for different reasons, but at least for me personally, I looked deep and discovered I get angry whenever someone fucking crosses my boundaries. And the rejection of anger is a rejection of that, is a rejection of one's power. The acceptance of anger, the surrender of anger is healed power, is you won't let it go that far next time. It doesn't have to be so fucking shit next time. This time it can be. The process of healing is not only winning short-term, but winning long-term. And I don't know about you. That shit seems better. Long-term, sustainable. Short-term, not. Short-term is ego-driven, trying to prove shit to ourselves. I want to talk about time frames. Now, often life gives you time frames, right? You're running a business, you got to fucking make ends meet. You got a family, you got to fucking feed them. I know a lot of women will come into relationships being like, I'm on a fucking time limit. Time's ticking down. And what people do is we motivate ourselves with stress. But does stress help us? Some people might say yes. Some people might say no. All I know is whenever I ask someone to surrender to that feeling that they don't have time, I don't fucking have time, they have a intense level of calmness that's underneath. Because underneath they are calm, they are capable, they are able to deal with pressure. But on top of that is unhealed layer. We look around, people stress. We think we must be stressed. An inability to deal with time limits is what causes that stress. Not the time limit itself. Time limits exist. Now you might realize through the healing process, for example, one realization might be, this time limit is bullshit. I've made it up. Another realization might be, I can handle this. All I know is when process time, someone becomes one, you, me, humans can become quite level-headed. And ironically, because they're no longer stressing about that time, their mental space is much more available to actually perceive and witness what's actually going on. And that is that they have a fucking job to do. and it is authentic for them, usually. If it's not authentic, you might stop. But if it's authentic for you, because you want to have the kids, because you want to run that business, because you need to make ends meet, you need to pay for that fucking mortgage, you've got to deal with this, you've got responsibility. And if it's authentic, or at least in that situation, you are obliged, because you've signed that contract, you've done those things. Surrendering to the feeling that you got to fucking do it, that there's all this stress around time, XYZ, gives you that space, that mental space to fucking do it, because you are no longer stressed by the time, or if you are stressed, there is just more stress to process. This shit revolutionizes things. When you realize that the process of feeling active surrender makes everything easy. Bad becomes good, good becomes great, great becomes amazing. Everything can be healed. Happiness can be healed and become ecstatic. Now, like, here's a thing, right? I'll often talk to people and they'll be like, oh, should really fucking drink less coffee. It's a common conversation. Not everyone, sometimes. And if you've had this conversation with me, hey, how you doing? You know who you are. But even that feeling, I should drink less coffee, that self-judgment. You don't have a relationship with coffee to quit yet. You have a relationship with quitting coffee. Now, I say this as someone who didn't have coffee for like fucking 5 or 6 years. I didn't have coffee for 5 or 6 years because of some promise I made myself, whatever. Through the process of surrender, I realized I was actually afraid of coffee and afraid of the joy that coffee can bring, that I felt I had to be sad. Let's be honest. Now, ironically, I've started drinking coffee again. Maybe it's been like a couple months. I had to deal with those habits that when I rejected coffee, I rejected those habits. I had to heal those habits. Those habits being like, oh, I don't let myself do anything unless I have a coffee in my hand. The extra emotional baggage I gave it, like, I'm a good boy if I drink coffee. Look at me. I'm going things. I'm doing places. I joke about it with my partner. I call it man about town. But I'm actually getting to the point where I'm bored of coffee. It's like, that's a common thing that happens. You heal things, you heal lifelong problems, you end up realizing you get bored of them. I'm bored of being poor. I'm bored of having bad relationships. I'm bored of complaining about this. I just want fucking change. And when you're ready for it, the change happens. Whether you bring it or the universe brings it, doesn't matter. The rule is, when you are free to go to it and it is free to come to you, it won't matter which is which. It just fucking happens. But I'm actually I was talking about my partner this morning, go for a morning coffee walk. I'm bored of coffee. The thing, I want the coffee, the stimulus, the getting it. And I can see myself just naturally not drinking coffee because it's boring. For some people, it's not boring. For my mates who my mate who runs a cafe, not boring. But I'm starting to think a green juice might be better because health might be more exciting. The excitement, the process of being healthy might actually be more exciting than the coffee. And coffee can be timed to dime. And it'd actually be more exciting to have coffee every second day. We want things because it's part of our manifest destiny, or we want things because the process of getting there brings us the things that we actually wanted, not necessarily the thing itself. So to summarize, what's the structured path of healing? Surrender the blocks of the things that get you there. Right now, I have things towards weight, for example. I think I need to lose weight. It's in here. It's also here, but it's in here. It's in my head. I feel like I don't understand. So rather than obsessing about understanding, which to me comes from lack, I surrender to the feeling I don't understand, ironically creating mental space for me to actually do the research and absorb the data I should have absorbed fucking 10 years ago. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like this video, make sure to leave a like, because if you do, then I like you. And if you want to see more of this stuff, whatever, like turn on notifications. If you do want to work with me privately, you can see my new and improved page. Looks like this. Ooh, ooh. I said, ooh, ooh, very, very sexy, very exciting. Look, it's me. I look like this one. Ooh. You know, I talk about the pipe. Ooh, visual representation. Ooh, ooh, different possible outcomes. Oh, very nice. You can apply here. See this? Put your details. Press this button. I'll contact you. Or message me on Instagram. Who cares? Fucking email me. Comment. It's creating a dialogue. Is there anything you learned from this video? Is there anything you would like to learn more about? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the description. And I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Bye.